Now listen to me, everyone, and hear the tale I tell, the tale of Joseph Galloway. I hope I tell it well. Young Joseph, born in Maryland in 1731, was of a wealthy family who knew what should be done. The child should learn his letters and educated be, and certified to practice law, and so indeed was he. In Philadelphia this was done, for they had relocated to that great city of all sorts, as may be truly stated. William Franklin at that time, a son of well-known Ben, along with Joseph Galloway, took legal knowledge in. So Galloway did practice law, and ere the age of 20, was pleading cases famously, and speaking well and plenty. And then he went to get involved in local politics, and won him an assembly seat in 1756. Now Pennsylvania then was ruled by a proprietor, who was a Quaker in belief and disapproved of war. He was not very popular with certain colonists, and Galloway enrolled himself within that party's lists. He made a friend in politics. Ben Franklin was his name, for at this time the two men's thoughts were very much the same. Their party thought the colony should be in royal hands, so they'd no longer have to bow to Thomas Penn's commands, because that Quaker gentleman was quite opposed to war and would not give support to it, as I have said before. But this was rather difficult when France and England fought. While the Assembly wished to help, the proprietor did not. So Galloway insisted that the citizens would be, if under royal government, not less but yet more free. And over this he quarrelled with John Dickinson, a man who did not trust the government and ministerial plans. In 1766, one fine and happy day, they gave the Assembly Speaker's job to our friend Galloway. He said that there was little use in navigation acts, and 'twould be best for everyone to limit rates of tax. But when new taxes came across and Boston burst in flame, Galloway smiled that his town stayed comparatively tame. He did not like the radicals, he thought they wanted power, and so would a great crisis make from trouble of an hour. Our orders must be kept, he said, when properly they're sent, and certainly the taxing power resides in Parliament. But still, I think the colonies would like to have some say. We really ought to compromise, that is the safest way. Though partially sincere in this, it cannot be denied his conduct could be well described as on the shifting side. He was a Loyalist at heart, in that word's every sense, but threatening mob violence could make him very tense. He did not want a visit from the Sons of Liberty, which did affect his public views over the tax on tea. He did not want the colonies to boycott British trade, but in this view he even lacked his ally Franklin's aid. When the Assembly took a vote, boycott, yea or nay, rather than making up his mind, he simply stayed away. Now more and more he stayed away from Philadelphia City. He never wished to sit again upon any committee. But when a plan began to grow, that all the colonies should form a Congress all as one, he was not very pleased. The plan was not the best, he thought, but if it had to be, a moderate man should go, he said, specifically me. And so, along with other men, Galloway was sent the thoughts of Pennsylvanians in Congress to represent. And there he was the leader of all the Conservatives, all grateful to Great Britain for the assistance that she gives. So, as a natural consequence, the Radicals did all declare him a time-serving wretch whose conduct did appall. But Galloway did nevertheless present a moderate plan, for do remember, as I've said, he was a moderate man. Under this plan, a governor from London would be sent to rule America with the aid of a new parliament, a parliament of colonists who should elected be freely by every colony in its assembly. Under this plan, each government on either side the Atlantic would have its powers well set down in terms clear if pedantic. Galloway thought a compromise would from this quickly follow, but others feared Britain's promises must soon prove false and hollow. He brought this plan of union forth, but after fierce debate it was defeated, by one vote, too little 'twas, too late. From then on forth no compromise would suit the Congress case. To give up their position, said the Radicals, would be base. Against them Joseph Galloway many a pamphlet wrote, saying with praise of liberty their lawless power they coat. So when the war in truth began, the Second Congress met, but Galloway would by no means be counted in that set. He sat at home, and with his wife and daughter did endeavour to keep his peace with either side, which could not last forever. In 76 things got so bad that Galloway said now would be an excellent time to join General Sir William Howe. So with that English general he went about the land, giving intelligence reports at first or second hand. In writing up all these reports he was an optimist. 2/3, 9/10, well, many men were leaning Loyalist. Although he saw things in that way, they were not always so, but since there was but one of him, how really could he know? In Philadelphia once again some power he came to hold. The British had retaken it in the October cold. Howe told him to administrate and call for loyalty, and take away the weapons of the rebels, so said he. But hardly had he settled down to do this civil work, combining a policeman's job with that of a good clerk, when a great alteration came in British strategy, that Philadelphia they must leave quickly and suddenly. 2 options were presented then to Joseph Galloway, to sail for England if he would, or, if he would, to stay. He chose to sail for England with his daughter, but his wife he left behind to try to guard their property in the strife. She was not pleased with this, and who can really blame her much, the conflict being such as 'twas, the ruin being such? In England, meanwhile, Galloway was in Westminster City, narrating his adventures to a House of Commons committee. He did not think that General Howe had done the best he could. If he were them, he'd quickly change his strategy, he would. He hoped that they would not forget the Loyalists at home, and he produced to this effect of writings quite at home. But England now was less and less delighted with the war, and as they listened less and less, he wrote them more and more. At last, when peace was signed, they said they could not get his land. They're very sorry, but it was in someone else's hand. This was because America a traitor had declared him. They took his goods, and if he'd stayed, would surely not have spared him. The British government could not mend this act of confiscation, but they ordained a pension given to him for compensation. It was a sad come-down, he thought, for one who had been Speaker of the Assembly. Nowadays he had to be much meeker. He could not even go back home. He was not welcome there. Of him the new United States wanted nor hide nor hair. He wrote and wrote, although it seemed that things could not be mended. He saw his daughter married, then wrote more, until he ended. His final writing was a book on Bible prophecy, and then he died on English soil in 1803. Alas, poor Joseph Galloway! Though he was oft mistaken, he served with zeal and loyalty the side which he had taken. So honoured be his loyalty and thoughtful moderation. The rest, why, let it be forgiven by this victorious nation. Here ends the ballad I have sung. I've kept the rhyme and measure. I've done my best to tell the truth. I hope it gave you pleasure.